Welcome to HR Happy Hour Work Break. You are here with Trish and Steve. Hey, Steve Bose.
Hey, Trish McFarland, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. What a busy day. I'm going to tell you what, I'm glad we're taking a work break, though, because I think we need it. It's been one of those days. I don't even know what day it is. It's Thursday, I think, right?
Yeah, I have lost all track of time now. It's crazy. You're right, though. We've been working a lot today, and today we got to work together.
Yes.
So that's unusual. In all seriousness, we usually have different projects going on, but today we're both working on the Ceridium webinar that we have coming up on September 30th.
September 30th, 1 p.m. Eastern.
That's right. So sign up for that free webinar. We're going to be talking a lot about skills and roles of the future and how that's all changing and sort of switching over from true like talent acquisition mode to more of a skills strategy. So yeah. Very interesting. I love all the research we were doing on it too.
It's been great. And there's a big mindset shift too, right? Because I was thinking, I still think back to the days when I was doing a lot of budgeting and doing HR budgeting and labor force cost, labor budgeting, and everything was FTE based, right? Remember, like, how many times did you have a budget discussion involving like FTEs? And when managers had, say, 6 FTEs in their budget, they would hold on to that number, like grim death. And it almost didn't matter what the labor cost budget was. It was only that FTE budget that was heavily monitored. It's crazy. I think things are getting a little better, but we'll be talking about some of those things too.
Yeah, and you know what? It's been interesting because I've been talking a lot with the teenagers in my life. I don't know if you've been talking with your son as well, but we talk a lot about jobs of the future. What might they be doing? What are they thinking of doing? And while there are still, I think, going to be some of those very traditional roles of doctors and lawyers and police officers and teachers, I tell my kids and even their friends, I said, most of you will have jobs that have not yet been created, right? So I tell them, even when it comes to the idea of what to study as a major in college, I said, really, you're worrying about skills. What skills are you getting in college? I said, worry less about the subject.
Yeah.
Focus more on what skills are you learning. And so I'm even trying to instill that now because so that they're ready for these jobs.
That's a great point. I'm still maybe naive, maybe to a fault, where I would still advise kids to kind of study something you really like. I don't care what it is. You have to like it. I'm not saying this is different than the follow your passion deal. I'm not going to make that argument, but I think if you're going to engage with something really seriously and deeply and really acquire some level of expertise, I think at some level you have to like it. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I think too, a lot of times, or at least in our generation, I think Generation X was really told, like, we were the first generation where everyone was really starting to go to college, or, large numbers of us were directed as that as a path. And I know, my parents used to tell me like, oh, you should be an accountant because that's a good job, or you should be this because it's a good job. It wasn't about like, what was I like? What kinds of topics did I like? I would have been the worst accountant ever, because my mind doesn't work like that. It's just not that meticulously organized, right? It's kind of all over the place. So yeah, I think it's find not only what you're interested in, like you're saying, but in addition, also figure out the way your brain works, and do not shoot for a job or a role or an industry or whatever that doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So
it's changing so rapidly. You think about like being encouraged to go major in accounting. I was strongly encouraged to take a business major, whereas like I liked English and history and sociology. And like if I would have come back to my parents back then and said, yeah, I think I'm gonna do the English major route. That's how I'm going. They would have been like, get out of here. They'll laugh me out,
That's what I did. I was an accounting major for a hot minute. And then I went back and I said, you know what? I'm interested in sociology. I really am fascinated by people and the way they interact and the way they think. And I really got sort of probably what you're saying you would have received as a response, which was, what in the world are you going to do with that degree? No one was going to be a sociologist. They just couldn't. But see, they didn't grow up in like we did. And so they just couldn't possibly fathom going to college and getting a degree in something that you weren't actually going to have that job, like that job title. So an accounting degree, you're an accountant. A sociology degree, I'm a sociologist, I guess. But Yeah,
Yeah, one of the cool things too, like, so I did like 80,000 software demos this summer, right? As part of the top HR products. And I'm not going to name any specific solution because I don't want to get anything exactly wrong about any of them. But one of the things I saw that was really cool, and I saw a couple of different manifestations of this, was this idea like, if you know how to do X, Y, and Z, or your background is ABC and you've had these different jobs, we can kind of use AI to figure out what other things you might be able to do, what other things you might be good at, or what other things that you're pretty close to being able to maybe take a little bit more of development and acquire those skills, right? We'll talk about some of this actually in the webinar. I have a little bit in the webinar about this, but I thought that was some of the coolest technology I saw this summer, which is around trying to help people kind of just understand what things they may be good at or potentially good at, even if they don't think about it themselves. And then it also helps the organization understand, hey, instead of going out to the external marketplace to fill a role because we think we have a perceived need in something, we actually might have people who have those skills right now. We just don't realize it yet. It's really cool stuff.
Absolutely a great point. I think too, the fact that technology can help you understand where the gaps are in skills. So it's not like we thought of, like, say, HR roles in the past, for example, where we all had to come in with the same degree, certification, skill set. Would you believe I actually got a question today on LinkedIn from someone asking what I thought about certifications? I'm like, oh, no, no, it's fine. They're fine for some people, but not everyone has to have a certification. A certain degree for many professions is just a recommendation. Everybody should have different degrees, bring different expertise and experiences into the role, right? You wouldn't have a whole department of HR people with the exact same degree, with the exact same certifications and experiences. I mean, how do you have any diverse thoughts? How do you have any innovation in a situation like that? So yeah, I'm with you. I'm a big fan of figuring out what skills people have that are transferable to other parts of the organization to keep them in the family. I don't know though, there's still that old silo effect, right? In jobs where you don't want to let somebody go. You'd rather see them leave the organization than go to another department. So
yeah, so we've been out of big corporate America now, both of us, for a little while. So I don't have my kind of thumb on that, how much that's still happening. I guess it must still be happening in big organizations. There's still a lot of proprietarism or siloism or what's the word, fiefdoms and things like that.
Absolutely.
Actually, I don't miss any of that. I'm glad we don't have that
either.
We don't have quite enough of a kingdom to really have our own fiefdoms yet, I guess. Or maybe, or they're smaller. We'll see.
Or we just don't know it. Okay, what else is going on? I know we're about 7 minutes in. A couple more minutes, we can probably take a break. Anything new in the news or new that you're reading?
I'll share. I'll be open. I'm a sports guy, right? I like some of the traditional sports, of course. But another sport I love, right, is curling, right? Winter Olympic sport, or it's a winter sport, right? The ice deal, curling. I
always wanted to try that. Was that where you sweep? Like there's one person sweeping the ice?
Off the stone, get it close to the center. It's kind of like horseshoey or bocce kind of rules, except on ice with big rocks.
Oh, I want to know someone who does that. I want to meet someone who does
super
that.
Cool. I would love to try it sometime, but I just saw a piece in Wired today, wired.com. They're developing a curling robot that is getting so good it can actually defeat some of the top level curlers.
Really?
Yeah. So I've not seen the curling robot, but you think about it, right? Like that's kind of angles and speed and distance and judging, right? I think an AI or a robot could get really, really good at that. As long as you can figure out the mechanism part of it to actually push that heavy stone down the line.
They get hung up on something and then they're worthless.
Put the curlers out of business? Would we watch robot curlers above like people curlers? I don't know.
But you talk about robots, it just makes me think of my lovely, Roomba. I love Roomba, but yeah, Roomba gets hung up on the weirdest places,
Looking at the video now, okay, that's how it is. So it's kind of like a small little robot, kind of about the size of a Roomba. It looks like it's on some wheels or something, and it's a stone in front of it, okay? And then the robot self-propels itself for a little bit, just like the person who rolls the stone.
Right.
And then the robot releases the stone, or the robot actually kind of just maybe stops, and the stone goes flying down the ice.
Okay.
Wow, it looks pretty cool.
No, okay, so we need to find this, but I remember a year or two ago when Roomba started becoming really popular, and people would take like a broom in front of it as if it was Like,
Oh, curling deal. Okay.
so you'd start Roomba like it's the stone and it's going and someone's sweeping in front of it, like making it go faster. It was cute. So they were.
I know we want to wrap up. The Roomba is weird though when you watch Roomba, because I have one too. Like, my mind wants to think about how you would vacuum as a human, which you tend to start in an area, kind of cover that area, move to an adjacent area, you'd kind of go reasonably straight back and forth with the Roomba. Just takes it's so haphazard, going from room to room, around the corner. Like, it can't.
It all somehow.
Someone explain to me how that's a better way to vacuum. Just
I don't know, but it works because if I come here in my office and start Roomba in the other room and I go back out there like in 30 minutes, it'll all be spotless. I'm just so happy.
If you were vacuuming your own house with your own vacuum, like, would you start in the living room, take a couple swipes, run to the bedroom and swipe there a couple times, then race over to the kitchen and hit a corner there? It makes no sense.
All right, now I'm going to be devil's advocate. But why don't we? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we are less efficient vacuumers, because I will tell you this. So when I was married, my husband he was in the military, so he vacuumed in like straight lines like he'd go up and back right next to it, right? And it made like these perfect little triangles in the carpeting. Looked beautiful. He always hated me vacuuming because I would go stand in the middle of the room and just turn in a circle and like go all the way around. So it was just kind of haphazard. So yeah, it probably doesn't bother me because I'm a very haphazard vacuumer. Is that a word? A vacuumer?
It could be a word.
Anyway. Yeah, well, anyway. So we're going to wrap for today. I would say if anyone has any stories they'd like to share about your Roomba, do you love it, hate it? How do you vacuum? Does it bother you that Roomba's kind of all over the place? I don't know. My mind's scattered mind, so kind of works for me.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening and watching, and we will see you back here tomorrow.
Bye for now.